Hey guys, what's going on, everybody? This is Dane from NYYU. We'd like to welcome you to the Yankees Farm Report with special guest Josh Grosz. Josh, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Outstanding. We
Doing
got
well.
an interview. So, Los, you want to get us started?
Sure, Josh Grosz. I got him at 6'4", 200 pounds, 11th round pick from last season out of Virginia Beach. He went to ECU, East Carolina. Baseball America has had him as the number 3 prospect in the AAC. Um, Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm looking forward to heading back down to Tampa and go to my first spring training. So just preparing for that.
Okay. Let's just start from the beginning. So growing up, these are questions that like a lot of people ask us. Did you play
Yeah.
any little league, high school ball, any other leagues? Were
I
you
did.
always a
So
pitcher?
yeah. So when I was a kid, my dad was a Marine, so he just retired this past summer. So I grew up bouncing around from the West Coast to East Coast pretty much my whole life. So I started playing baseball at a really young age. I have an older brother that played baseball, and I kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps. So I think my first time on a baseball field was probably being his team's bat boy at like 4. But
Oh,
but yeah, I played little league all growing up on East and West Coast. I didn't I played little league from the time you can start until the time you can end. So I played that. I didn't really get into travel until like serious travel baseball until my freshman, sophomore years of high school. Whenever I was done with Little League, I played on like some local travel teams up in Northern
Mhm.
Virginia where I was at the time. But growing up, I always played more sports too. I played baseball and football and basketball. So I played about 6 years of football, flag football, and like Pee Wee Pop Warner football.
right.
Played 1 year varsity football my freshman year. And then from my first full season of basketball was sixth grade through my senior year of high school. Um, but yeah, I mean, I grew up just playing, backyard pickup games and then competitive games and anything from spike ball to pickleball to whatever I could get my hands on. My brothers and and our friends would always be out, trying to do something. So I just grew up always competing.
Now, were you always a pitcher, or did you play other positions as well?
I was never a PO until college. So I was my freshman year of high school. We had a rough crew. We struggled a lot. So I was our shortstop from our first 2 years, and
Usually
then
is.
I always consider myself a really good outfielder. So I can travel and all throughout little league and high school I was an outfielder slash pitcher. And then I didn't start. I mean, I knew my route to college was to be a PO. I was never a great high school hitter, but I would consider myself a good outfielder. So I was happy that I wasn't a PO, in high school. But I always did pitch. I started pitching when I was. I think I started taking pitching lessons when I was maybe in like second or third grade.
Oh,
Just
wow.
like from like not from anything unbelievable, just like from the a high school kid or like a private lesson at a warehouse or something like that. But yeah, I've always been a pitcher.
And you went to ECU. Was that your first choice? Were you recruited by any other schools?
It was my first choice. I was recruited by Campbell and UNC Wilmington
Hmm.
and East Carolina. It was honestly a dead tie between all three before I finally committed. ECU started recruiting me my junior fall. I went to one of those sign up online camps uh, at during the fall of I think it was 20 junior year was 2019. So the fall of 2018, and that's when that would have been. Went to this camp at ECU. I pitched well. The pitching coach at the time was Dan Roselle, who's now at Kentucky. He called me once a week, trying to make a relationship and recruit me that way. And they came to see me a couple times my junior spring, but they were the last school to offer me. So the first offer I got was UNC Wilmington, and I really wanted to go there. I mean, they're a great location, great school, good baseball program, great coaches. The very next week, Campbell offered me, and they were like, "You got 7 days to make a decision." I was like,
Oh,
"Wow,
wow.
like that's pretty tough." I mean, they gave me a great offer. It was kind of hard to say no, but and I was very heavily considering it. And those 7 days came up, and the head coach called me. He's like, "So, like, what do you got?" And I was like, "Well, this is a major decision. I mean, I'm very interested. I just would like a little more time to make a decision." And he pretty much was like, "Well, if you don't want to be here, like, you're not going to be here." And that was the end of that conversation.
Take it or leave it.
So yeah, so I guess that offer was kind of off the table after that phone hung up. So at the time, it was really just UBC Wilmington, and who I actually had an offer from, and ECU, who kept kind of baiting the hook a little bit, and it got to the point where UNCW knew that ECU was on me, and so they upped the offer a little bit to try and get a decision. And I was like, I was just still trying to hold out hope that ECU would just to give me an offer, because they'd been recruiting me the longest, just to give them their due diligence to see what they would give me.
Mhm.
And it ended up being they ended up offering me after my season was over, like right after my junior season ended. And financially, it wasn't better than the Wilmington offer, but um, it was good enough, and it was where I feel like I wanted to be. From that the whole time. At the time, my brother was going to school here. They just came
Mm.
off of they were in the middle of a super regional run. Had a great team, and I just felt like that's where I wanted to. I feel like if I thought to myself, if I was going to win a national championship, if I had a shot to win a national championship, this is the place to do it. So
Cool.
So in your first two seasons there, you mostly pitched in relief, right? It wasn't until your junior year that you became a starter.
yeah, my freshman year, I think I had 14 appearances, 12 innings total, all meaningless, out of the bullpen
Hmm.
innings, kind of up 10, down 10, pretty much normal freshman numbers. And then I had I wanted to be a starter. So over summer ball, my freshman summer ball, I was a starter, and started that next fall at ECU. And then the springtime came around, and I kind of like literally 50-50 did both. I'd start a game, and then I'd relieve a game, and then I'd start. So I think I had like 26 appearances and maybe 13 starts, maybe seven
Hmm.
or eight starts. I could be wrong on that number, but it was pretty much split time. I was kind of just a swing guy, and then yeah, it wasn't until last year where I was a full-time starter.
Okay. Um, Before we move on to the draft part, I want to focus on two games that I noticed in your box score. Was the game you pitched versus Georgetown? Do you remember that one? You threw
Yeah,
five no-hit innings,
yeah.
11 Ks.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Can you talk about that game a little bit?
That game's kind of a blur, to be honest with you. I feel like I remember. I feel like I remember the games I got shelled in more than the games I pitched good in. But yeah, I mean,
Pitchers
Does
are
leave more of
always
an
like
impression?
that.
at that time in the season, I was starting to stack on like consistent quality starts, and just I think that was just one of those that fell
That
into
was the
like a five
beginning
to
of that
six.
run. That was the
Yeah.
beginning of that
That
run.
that was the
Yeah.
start of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I guess after that I put together a good 5 to 6 weeks of good starts, and yeah, I don't know. I whenever I'm in the zone and I'm throwing strikes and I got my off speed working and I got a good tempo, I feel like I'm usually in a good spot for success. So that was just one of those games where everything was working.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you got to the draft, did you have any idea what team you were looking at? Did you have a place you wanted to go?
Initially, no. I mean, I was I was gonna be really fortunate either way, no matter where I went, and be really excited about where I went, no matter what. But I'm thrilled to be a part of this organization. Now that I've been in this organization for a little over like 6 months, 5, 6 months,
Yeah.
and talking to buddies that are in other organizations, I feel super lucky, because I feel like the player development and the investments from the coaching staff and the support staff is unlike any other organization that I've talked to so far. So that's pretty just a staple to the Yankees organization. But I didn't have since I grew up all over the map, I never really had like a dream team. I never really had like a favorite team. It was kind of wherever I was at, like I cheered for that local region team. So I grew up cheering for the Angels when I was in California. I grew up cheering for the Nationals when I was in DC, and when I moved to North Carolina, I was kind of just like a baseball fan. I didn't really have a specific team. So, um, but yeah, after being drafted by the Yankees, I feel like the ceiling's pretty. That's kind of the top of the ceiling is like the Yankees organization. So
Yeah.
Did you know that the Yankees were interested, or any other teams interested? Did you speak to anybody?
yeah, I knew they were interested. In the fall of my junior year, like in the winter meetings, I met with I
Mm.
think 15 teams. Yankees were one of them, and then throughout the weeks leading up to the draft, I talked to majority. I talked to almost every team, I believe. Just like, I mean, nothing. Obviously I'm not like a first round pick, so like it's not like they were chomping at the bit. But most of the area scouts for every team call just to check in and make
Hmm.
sure I was healthy, things are good, I'm ready to go. But the Yankees definitely, the area scout for the Yankees definitely made a consistent effort to develop a relationship and get me.
I'm gonna ask
Now,
because we've been hearing crazy stories, but before you move on, sorry, Dane. Did you know that you got drafted, or did they give you a phone call? How did that happen?
So I got drafted on day 3, which I was like in the first round of day 3. So, but right before day 3 started, I think let's say it started at 12 o'clock.
Hmm.
At 11:30, um, my agent called me and said, "Hey, like the Yankees are going to take you for this. Like, yes or no? Do you want it or not? If you want it, they're going to use it for their 11th round pick." I was like, "Yes." So I didn't know ahead of time. It wasn't like I
Hmm.
just they called my name. Um, but at the
We've
same
heard that from
time,
a couple guys.
yeah, we've heard that.
the draft is so crazy that like they could say, "Hey, we're going to take you," then it's like, "Oh wait, they took someone else." So you never really know until you know. But yeah.
Hmm.
Messenger had a couple funny stories about that. He found out when he was on a golf course.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I've heard stories of guys like that used to, former guys that played at ECU where this is back when the draft was, earlier back in May. Or was it? Yeah, I think it was May where they would find out like they were on an airplane flying to go play somebody and they landed and they finally had cell service and they're like, "You've been taken to the draft." They're like, "Oh God, okay, I guess I'll
That's
go."
funny.
So
That's
moving into
funny.
the Yankees organization, did you think you were going to pitch last year? Or did you know that you were going to go to the development program?
You mean after the draft was over?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, they told all of us, all the pitchers that got drafted um, this past draft, they were like, "There's no rush for any of you guys to go and play, in Tampa or go any to affiliate baseball." So I don't believe any pitchers went to go play.
No.
None
Which
did.
was, I mean, so yeah, we knew the whole time that like this we're gonna take these next month and a half, these next 2 months to kind of nail like whatever individual things you need. If it's pitch design, if it's weight, if it's strength, if it's whatever. So we had a good idea that we weren't going to go play anywhere. So it was nice to just kind of have that month and a half to start building the foundation to get ready for spring.
What were some of the
So,
things that they had you work on when you first came in?
The slider was the biggest focus for them. Um, this has happened for me the last 2 seasons where, as the season goes on and I'm a little more fatigued, seems like my slider for whatever reason had just, kind of falls off the table. It starts off the season, the first 3 quarters of the year for me, my junior year was my best pitch. The last quarter of the year, it just kind of just nothing to get, miss a barrel. So they really wanted to hammer that slider and get it perfect and make it a weapon again. So the slider was a big deal, and then there was some stuff in my delivery and in my mechanics that they wanted to clean up and be more efficient. So um, I felt like it wasn't overcomplicating. I mean, they did a good job explaining like this is what you need to do. Here's how you're going to do it. Like send us videos when you're not here, and so I would just say yeah, slider focus and my delivery were the two biggest things we worked on.
and
Cool.
that was geared specifically towards you, right? It's not like they didn't just give you like a generic training saying, "Hey, this is for everybody." This was geared for you specifically.
Correct. Yeah, like I mean, I think we went through maybe 7 different slider grips the first 2.5 weeks,
Oh,
3 weeks we started throwing, and it was all like, hey, like this is how your arm works, this is how your fingers are moving. Like maybe try this out, maybe you can get more movement this way. And then same thing with the delivery. Like we had these things called motion capture bullpens where like they put those white balls on you and they
wow. Right.
see
Hmm.
how your body's moving, and so that's tailor made to me. So like, hey, like, you don't do this efficiently, so let's just knock it out of the way. Or like you do this really well, let's keep that movement pattern. So everything's very personalized.
Now the slider, is it a sweeper or a true slider?
Um, honestly, I really don't know. I mean, I've never been I've never been a super analytical guy, so I don't feel like I have the right answer for that. But I think
Gotcha.
it looks like it. I think it looks like a sweeper, but I
Right.
feel like it's hard. It's harder than most sweepers, so I'd say it's kind of in between those two.
What's the
Like my
velo?
it's like 84, 85. I mean, it's not like it's not low 80s. It's not like a hard
Right.
cutter, so it's kind of in between.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your current pitch package like?
Current pitch package is four seam fastball, slider, changeup, curveball. So kind of four pitch mix. The changeup's more of a sinker because it's kind of hard. It's not like a true 8 to 10 mile an hour difference, but it's got a lot
Hmm.
of sink to it and a little bit of run. So my changeup usually is like anywhere from 86 to 88 miles an hour, and
Hmm.
if my fastball's on, it's like anywhere from 94, 95. So it's not a
Oh,
huge difference, but it's enough to get them off the barrel, I think. So
yeah.
it's kind of a hybrid between a changeup and a sinker. And then same thing with the curveball. My curveball is not a true 12-6 curveball. It's kind of like a 1 to 7 looking, break
Mm,
like that.
Hmm.
Not so much
right.
as that. So, but yeah, just a different arsenal than a true changeup and true curveball.
So the
Cool.
fastball sits 94, 95.
Fastball is probably like it probably sit 93, 95. Probably I'd say my average fastball is 93, 94 miles an hour.
Are you working to add some strength this winter?
Absolutely. Yeah, I heard when you introduced me as at 6'4", 200 pounds. I've already put on 10 pounds this off season.
Oh,
So
wow.
so strength, power, eating. Obviously, you can never throw too hard, so fastball, velocity is always a big focus. I did a big velocity program this fall with the Yankees coaches, which was huge. I mean, I saw over a 7 week period, I saw pretty not drastic, but like very noticeable differences, which is nice. So yeah, obviously this off season was meant just to maintain that velo over the course of the season because, like I was saying earlier, um, when I'm now that I have a little more weight and I can maintain that, hopefully the velo will stay because in the at the end of every season, the last 2 years, it seems like for me, once my weight starts to go down, then that's when everything kind of starts to crumble a
Right.
little bit. So as long as I can maintain that, I should be able to maintain my velocity throughout the rest of the season. So
Cool.
Sounds like by the middle of the season, you're talking about like an extra 3, 4 ticks on the fastball.
that's right.
So, are you looking to add any other pitches to your package as you continue developing, or do you think you're going to stay with the four?
I'm going to stay with the four for now. I mean, everyone always wants to add the next best pitch
Right.
and see what can move the most in their eyes. But I'd like to perfect four before I can add a fifth. And if
Mm,
I need to
Good
dump one and
answer.
add one, I'll do that. But as of right now, I'm happy where I'm at, and I would just like to really perfect those four before I try to add a fifth, and vice versa. So
Gotcha. Good answer.
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Do you know where you're going to be reporting or not yet?
I don't know yet. I'm heading down. I'm heading down there to report early um,
Hmm.
next Saturday,
Oh,
and
wow.
I don't know. I mean, there's guys there right now that you can.
Yeah.
My official report date's March 1st, and they said if you want to voluntarily come early, you can. You just got to find a place to stay. Um, so I'm gonna do that. And I'm just itching to get down there. I'm really excited. So I'm gonna head down there a little early. I have no idea. I mean, I would assume I'd start out low A just because none of the other pitchers, we didn't go anywhere to begin with. So there's not really like a
Hmm.
baseline yet. But personally, I couldn't tell you. I'm just gonna assume low
Mm,
A.
sounds
Yeah, I
good.
always hear that the Yankees send notifications and things like that pretty late in the game. So I mean that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. I'm not walking in blind, but I mean, just my first spring training, so I'm trying to navigate, expectations.
Hmm.
Now we
Hmm.
have some questions from the fans, but you already, what's the
Yeah, I think you already answered
RPMs?
it.
Yeah, the RPMs on your slider, curveball, that kind of thing.
Like I said,
Not analytical.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm
I'm
not.
sorry.
I wish I could. Not that I can't, but I really don't pay a whole lot of attention
Not
to
focused on
those
that.
kind of metrics, just because I don't, I just think it's kind of complicated at times. I'd rather just,
Right.
if it's a good pitch and the guy swung and missed, then I don't care if it has 1 RPM,
Right.
I wish I had an answer, but I honestly, I couldn't tell you.
No, that's the right answer. You just want to simplify things. And that for a
Yeah.
pitcher, that's the mindset you
I
want
mean,
to hear.
he's already got a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
He's not too focused on that. He just wants to know,
Yeah,
can he put it where he wants to put it? Can he put it on the
that's
black?
right. Right. Is it gonna stay? Is it gonna stay in the park or no? So
There
exactly.
you go. There you go.
Now, what's your go-to pitch to get a strikeout?
It kind of depends. Like righty or lefty. Um, to a righty, I love like a slider down in the zone, or a fastball up in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of working this way instead of off the plate. And then same thing with the lefty. Lefties, I love to get a strikeout with a changeup on a lefty, below the barrel. And I also love back footing a slider to a lefty, so or a
Yeah,
curveball. So either way, I think the fastball sets up everything. So my
it
favorite,
does.
pitches to get guys out on would be probably lefty changeup, and then or a changeup on a lefty, and then a slider below the barrel on a righty.
He sounds like exactly how I pitch in MLB The Show. That's exactly how I pitch. So growing up, is there anybody that you emulated, anybody that you like to model your game after?
I love watching Max Scherzer when I was in
Hmm.
Northern Virginia. I went to a bunch of Nats games, watched almost every Nats game on TV if I wasn't there. I love watching him throw. Um, Obviously, you got like the DeGroms and the Striders and
Grom
all
was a
the
beast.
top guys now. But
Yeah,
as a little kid, I just love watching Scherzer and Strasburg too. Those guys are two guys that stick out in my mind of just like how they carry themselves on the mound and the dugout, how they go after guys. They're not afraid, throw certain pitches and certain counts. They're kind of just like bulldogs on the mound, which I admire.
is
Yeah, I
that what
love
you
those kind
try
of
to do?
guys.
Is be a bulldog on the mound?
I'm kind of in between. I mean, I'll get fired up in a big moment, after a big punch out, maybe late in the game. But for the most part, I like to just stay even keel because, as you guys know, baseball is always going to punch you in the face. And so if you get
Yeah.
too
Yeah,
high or too low, like you're in a bad spot. So I like to be fired up, like mentally and internally, and have a
Mhm.
game plan and be ready to roll. But externally, I like to just kind of keep it here until the moment presents itself where you can show a little emotion. But like I would never celebrate a punch out to end the inning in the first or second inning because that's just like
right.
the game's
Wait,
not
but
even
hold
a
on.
third of the way over.
Hold on. But what if you started out with like bases loaded and no outs?
Then you're gonna be happy that you go back out for the second inning. I'm just gonna be fired up that I can go pitch again.
Nice.
So yeah,
Let's go ahead.
No, that was my last question for him. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm good. Josh, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. Sorry that ending kind of got weird, but we'll get some footage of you and we'll get that wrapped up and get this out.
yeah. Thanks for having me on here. It's good talking to
We'd
you
love to
guys.
have you again after you get moving a little bit, maybe around the All-Star break.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm open, so just let me know.
We
Yeah,
got you
definitely
as a
appreciate you
big
taking the
breakout
time.
candidate. I
What's
think
that?
that you,
Mm.
I said we got you as a big breakout candidate. I think you are going to be like a Will Warren, Chase Hampton later round pick that breaks out. Heard some pretty special things about you.
That means a lot. I appreciate it. I hope so.
Yeah. All
Well,
right,
we'll definitely
guys.
be checking you out, keeping an eye on you. All right.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys
Again,
have a
thank you
good
for
one.
taking the time. All right.
Yeah, no
Thank you so
problem.
much.
All right, have
All
a
right,
good one,
guys.
guys.
All
Later,
right.
guys.